been to many great air shows in the world, such as Paris Air Show, Hamburg Air Show, and Dubai Air Show. But if you ask me, what's the best air show I've ever been? I would tell you it was an air show in North Korea 5 years ago.
During the festival, you will have lots of fun.
It felt like turning 50 years back in time there. To enter North Korea by air, there's only two gateways. One is from China and the other is from Russia. So in September 2016, about 200 aviation enthusiasts gathered at Beijing International Airport. We were boarding onto an Air Koryo Tupolev 204. Air Koryo is the national airline of North Korea. We're bound for Pyongyang, then we'll be transferred onto Wonsan to attend the first air show in the country, the Wonsan AirShow. Air Koryo used the Tupolev 204, which is a modernized version of Soviet-Russian airplane comparable to a Boeing 757 or Airbus A321 from the external fuselage. Air Koryo was also the world's only one-star Skytrax airline. But is it really that bad? Is it really one star? Take a look at the service, take a look at the food, the drink, the entertainment we had on board. When we reached Pyongyang airport, immediately we were transferred across the terminal and boarding onto a Russian-Soviet time machine, a Tupolev 154.
Full house, business class.
The flight distance is 173 kilometers and the speed is 520 kilometers per hour. For the safety of the flight, it is prohibited and use cameras and mobile phones.
It was just amazing to hear the engine starting at the back of the Tupolev 154. It was just a far cry from the modern day aviation. And after 30 minutes of flying, we reached our final destination, Wonsan. We were one of the first airplanes to touch down at a brand new international airport that was built and maybe specifically for the air show. Our group spent the rest of the day at the airport tarmac filming all the Soviet airplanes in the Air Koryo fleets that is coming in to participate for the air show the next day. Now, this is not aviation, but I felt this is really interesting and funny. We didn't spend in any tourist hotel. We were actually taken to a children's hotel. If you look at the room, there were 3 or 4 beds, all dressed in pink color sheets. And I actually slept quite well in these tiny little beds. No complaints. For travelers, there are many advantages using a VPN. I personally use VPN to bypass internet censorship, to find cheaper travel, and to secure and encrypt my data. Internet censorship is a huge pain when you're traveling that you couldn't access to your email or connect to social media to stay in touch with your family and friends. I use Surfshark VPN to hop onto another country to bypass the internet censorship. Even better, with just one Surfshark VPN subscription, you can access to many Netflix library. With Surfshark VPN, there are good possibilities to find cheaper travel, cheaper air tickets, cheaper hotel, and cheaper rental cars by connect VPN to another country. For frequent traveler like myself, I often use free public Wi-Fi at the airport or in the hotel. They are not secure. When I want to send sensitive information such as banking credentials, I use Surfshark VPN to secure and encrypt my data. And here's the best deal for our viewers. Get Surfshark VPN at surfshark.com/Sam. Enter promo code SAM. You will not only get over 80% off, but also 3 additional months for free. This video is sponsored by Surfshark. So the next day, before the air show starts, we were actually taken to 2 giant deer leader statues. All the tour guide accompanying us are probably political minders, and they're watching all our moves. As soon as we arrived at the air show, we saw this massive crowd.
During the festival, you will have lots of fun, including sightseeing fly over Wonsan by different planes of choice of your own choice, enjoying music and dance performance and soiree, and tasting different brands of famous Korean beer.
끝으로 축전에 참가한 여러분들이 즐겁고 유쾌한 시간을 보내기 바랍니다.
I hope all the festival makers from home and abroad will have a great and memorable time during the stay here.
감사합니다.
Thank you.
Just right after the opening speech, the very first airplane to on the air show is a 1969 Illusion 18. What's interesting and rare about this air show is that it is not a pure civilian air show. It also combines military. It is very rare to see the North Korean Air Force in action, at least showing to the Western world. So right after the Air Koryo Illusion 18, there's the Korean People's Army Air Force MiG-29 in action.
And indeed, it really was like an air show in any other country. The whine of jet engines, the thump of distant pop music, flags flapping, and the smell of cooked meat on the breeze. The pace of the display was impressive, with one aircraft displaying while the next sat at the holding point ready for takeoff, and the one after that starting engines in the parking area. We asked the organisers how they did such a slick job on their first ever air show, and they said they watched videos and DVDs of Riyadh, Farnborough, and other famous events abroad. They did a fantastic job.
The crowd are so excited every time when there's a helicopter flying over past them or whatever, and with all the music going on and cheering, it could be anywhere. But we have to remind ourselves, we are in North Korea. The air show is in North Korea, and this is unreal. The afternoon was kicked off by another smashing hit, the MiG-21. A pair of female pilots were piloting the MiG-21. And this was followed by the low flight pass of a 4-engine Illusion 62. And then there are Mil-17 helicopter, Illusion 76, and N-24. And when they pass by, you smell the jet fuel in the air. It smells great. It is raw aviation, mega fun.
The airshow was also an insight into North Korean life, as tourists had never really been allowed to mix with locals before. But we were free to roam in the crowd of 20,000 North Koreans. I was impressed by the pavilions selling souvenirs, clothing, soft furnishing, toys, showing a degree of commerce and private enterprise not usually apparent.
And this is a great opportunity, and the only time we are actually allowed to mingle freely with the North Koreans there at the air show. Because normally your tour guide will separate you and the local people. You were not able to talk directly with them in any other places. So this is the first time ever. Of course, they were not able to understand each other, so we can only use simple hand gesture, hand signs, and a smile, international diplomacy. What really impressed me is at the end of the air show on day one, there was a mass crowd marching back, walking in the dark, going back home. Of course, we were privileged Westerner, we were on the bus, but watching these tens of thousands of people walking on the street like a soldier is marching, it was incredible. At that night, there were a great performance in the local theater showcasing the North Korean arts. So the next day at the air show, it was mainly joyriding on many Soviet rare airplanes type from Air Koryo's fleet. There's not many air shows actually allow you to buy a ticket and to go on for a joyride. So this is why it's so unique and such a great experience. My favorite is always the Illusion 62. It was Soviet's premier intercontinental airplane back in the 1970s and 80s. Sitting at the very end of the Illusion 62, listening to the different pitch of screaming sound from the D30 Soloviev engine, it was just beyond amazing. It was nothing like it. The next interesting joyride was an Illusion 76. This was used as a transporter, so it has a bench sitting across each side. Each of these joyrides were very short. They were about 15-minute circuits, a takeoff, a long circuits, and come back to land. Another rare airplane to fly on is the Illusion 18, 4 turboprop engine, 1969 made. This airplane in Air Koryo fleet recently had a refurbished in the interior. It certainly looks better than it was over a 50-year-old airplane. As we thought the show was over, we were wrong. We were taken to a square. There were 5,000 people dancing. And 10,000 spectators. Foreigners like us were invited to dance together with the North Koreans, all going for a very happy dance together. Obviously, the air show was a smashing hit. Not only we get to see the Soviet airplanes, the military, and also we get to joyride on some of these very rare airplanes you wouldn't be able to do so in the West. But there are also lots of great humanities and goodwills in this air show. Foreigners, for the first time, are able to freely mingle with North Koreans. I think aviation really unites people and brings the world closer.
This was the biggest event in the North Korean events diary of 2016, and there was much hope that it would become an annual event. But alas, international tensions that rose with the election of Donald Trump as President of the United States meant there was no tourism at all to North Korea in 2017. And after that, the momentum was lost, making the 2016 Wonsan AirShow a one-off, and surely the most exotic airshow of all time.